And I'm now joined by Chris Ormrod from the Ministry of Cake, the Prime Minister of the Ministry of Cake, but maybe not for so long. Chris, welcome to Tone FM. Let's get straight to it. Ministry of Cake has now been sold to a French company. That kind of came out of the blue.
Yes, it did, and no, it didn't. It did in the sense that it happened perhaps a bit quicker than we thought it would happen. But no, it didn't in the sense that once I bought Ministry of Cake back in, May 2014, at some point in the next 3 to 5 years, the business will inevitably end up under new ownership. So it was a case of when rather than, or if it's going to happen rather than when it's not going to happen.
Did you actively go out and look for somebody to come and buy it, or did it just stumble across? Because the ministry over the last few years has just gone from strength to strength, and you're now in different countries all over the world, which is a massive achievement.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why we had the approach. I mean, the honest answer is that when I borrowed the money originally from a bunch of private equity guys way back in May 2014, it was a lot of money. And they always ask you, the equity guys, what am I going to get back? In other words, what am I going to make? And more importantly, when am I going to get it back? And so very typically you would write, and we wrote a 5-year plan, and then we set about the plan. And with all the things that you mentioned, we had some really good luck, and we achieved our plan within the first 2 years. So as soon as that starts to happen, then almost inevitably the phones will ring, and you become quite noticeable property, a bit like a Premier League footballer just scored a hat-trick and suddenly Man United are on the phone, etc. So we're no different in that respect. So we started to get phone calls over the course of the last year, and then we engaged particularly with this one company who, I have to say, when I bought Ministry back, I did a very simple analysis of who I thought would want to buy us in 5 years' time. And these guys were right in the middle of that bullseye. And I couldn't ask for a better bunch of people to be part of. They are absolutely focused on desserts, and they're a good business. The only amusing thing, I guess my name, Prime Minister, you are right. I think probably it should be La Présidente as of now.
So what happens now? What's the process now? Does this mean you're going to stay on and do what you've done to help the company move forward further?
Yeah, nothing changes in the sense that we wrote, having just turned over 30 million quid this year, we've written a very clear plan and a strategy to underpin that to get us to 40. And the French guys don't see anything other than us getting to that plan, preferably sooner rather than later. So they'll start to invest perhaps a bit more than we've been able to invest as a private business. They own 2 other companies in the UK, which we can start drawing some of their resources. They love what we're doing in Taunton and love Taunton. And the chairman, certainly of the UK group of companies, was born in Torquay. So he's very fond of the fact we've got Ministry of Pudding down in Torquay.
Of course, yeah.
So we're going nowhere in terms of location. And we think this is probably going to be quite interesting next 10 years for the business.
And what does it mean for jobs and for security for people in and around the county town? Because that's when something like this happens, that's the first thing that springs to mind is, oh my God, taken over, jobs going, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Like I said, certainly no jobs are going as a result of this takeover. In fact, as I sit here now, if any of your listeners are interested, we're looking to recruit 30 people at Ministry of Cake. We need more people to come and work for us.
Okay.
So no, we will be the second biggest group company within the French business unit. So they see us very much as their jewel in the crown and want us to be here for some considerable time to come. So yeah, I think sometimes it can be a bit unsettling when businesses are taken over, but certainly my staff know, because they've been through 3 changes of ownership in the last 10 years, thanks to what I have been doing with the business. So they're pretty sanguine about all of that.
I think as well, in the time that you and I have known each other as well, and, I've come to talk to you on a couple of occasions on personal level about various things, I love the way that you structure things. And that's possibly down to the time that you spent with Branson, because you spent a lot of time with Branson, how he does things. Is that a model that you can now pick up and take elsewhere? Because clearly, in time, you're probably going to think about other projects, because you run your own ice cream manufacturing business as well, Lovington's.
Yeah.
Is that something you're going to look at expanding perhaps over the next few years?
Well, I think my first job today really is to make sure the bedding in process of Ministry of Cake into Mademoiselle Desserts goes as smoothly as it can, and it will do. And I think if people even notice the change, I'll be annoyed and disappointed with myself because I won't have got that right. But what Richard, and you alluded to Branson when I worked at Virgin, what Richard taught me above anything else was the power of staff, of people, and making sure your people enjoy working with you. And if they enjoy that, then to a certain extent, the business will go from strength to strength. So I don't choose to add to that strategy. In fact, it's not a strategy, it's a way of life. We make people enjoy working for us. We train them well enough so that actually they could leave, but we make them enjoy the business well enough so that they don't want to. And if we carry on like that, then, we've got people working for Ministry who've been there 47, 48 years. And I've been there, I think, 12 years now. So we are a fairly long-serving bunch of people there. So I'd hope that whatever I choose to do, at whatever point that happens, it'll be about the people first.
So there's an air of positivity there in terms of what people may be thinking in terms of job security and so on. On a personal note, what has been, in any business, there's highs and there's lows. Tell me about some of the lows that you've been through since, and how you got over that.
Then you're laughing because it was a particularly low. About 5 weeks after I bought Ministry, I'm a sales guy by background, I suspect you can probably tell, and I kind of moved into marketing a little bit, hence all the fun and games I have. One thing I'm clearly not, and I'm never going to be, is an accountant. So 5 weeks after
I'm in the same class as you there, mate, I tell you.
5 weeks after I bought Ministry, Kate, my then finance controller, gosh, bless her, came to see me and explained that we were about to run out of money. And now I just sold my house. I'd put everything I had in the world into Ministry Cake. I thought I'd cracked it and completely forgotten to look after the cash flow. So I had to do a bloody big deal with a customer to buy a load of chocolate fudge cake in. So that was a particularly low of
twitchy
the lowest.
time.
Oh, more than I dare tell you. And then anytime I lose a bit of business, I take it really personally. And so we've won some and we've lost some. And there are times you think, I really don't want that to happen. And then you hear a competitor set something up. But no, almost running out of money was my big car crash moment.
What about your highlight? And you've had a lot of highlights. I mean, it was only last year that we were talking about you being in Australia, I think it was, and taking the brand over there. I mean, that's it. And America as well. Incredible stuff.
Yeah. I think a couple, really. I think one of the loveliest ones was last year winning Business of the Year award for the Southwest. And the previous winner had been the Devon and Air Ambulance Trust, to whom we donate a fair few cakes. So to be in that company and to be judged to be the best business amongst your peer group, I was not expecting it. That was a particular highlight. Being at number 10, just before the Brexit referendum, as part of the Macmillan Cancer Trust activity, that was a particular highlight. And you're absolutely right, going over, in fact, to Shanghai and seeing what happened over there and getting the reception to cakes, which we had made in Taunton, got over to Shanghai and saw the Chinese people's reaction to it.
Did you take some cake to number 10 when you went?
We did.
You did?
We did, yeah. We're forever setting stuff up there. And we haven't met any of the current administration, which is a bit of a shame. But, we sent cake when Osborne was in. We sent it up to Cameron. We're just waiting for Donald Trump to come to the UK. And
Did
we'll
you?
find
I was going to say, because one of the things I love about what you do is you add a lot of humour into the business, in terms of the way you've laid out the management structure, the Prime Minister, the
Foreign Secretary,
and all that kind of thing. You could have a lot of fun with Trump, couldn't you?
Oh, we really could. And we're thinking about sending him a cake to celebrate his election to being president later this month. But I'm sure he'll find out some reason he's got some grandparent born in Southwest Taunton.
Of course he will, exactly. That's what he does.
I think, whichever business you work in, and there has to be an appropriate level of professionalism in whatever you do, but if you can't keep some sense of perspective and some sense of humour, that even in the darkest days, I think Hannibal, the guy who took the elephants over the Alps, it's a beautiful quote, we will find a way or we'll make one.
Yeah.
And I think with Ministry, we try and we'll either find a way, we'll make one, but we'll always smile when doing it. And that's served us well.
Excellent. Well, look, I wish you all the very best in your the coming sort of 6 to 12 months. I'm guessing that at some point you'll probably look at moving forward, moving onwards and everything. Does this mean you're going to have a lot more time for skiing over the next few months in the winter months?
I'll let you know when I get back on Monday. I'm off this weekend, yes.
Mate, shocker. Brilliant. It's good to speak to you, Chris.
You too.
Just very quickly before you go, the jobs which are now available.
Yes.
Can you just tell us a bit more about those? Because people listening on a local level might think, okay, well, this is really good news now.
Yeah, they're key operatives in our Taunton factory. Mm-hmm. So we've got 30 places. So it's people working, decorating cakes, icing cakes, finishing cakes, packing cakes, cutting cakes. I suspect when the evening comes, eating cakes.
Them, yeah.
But ultimately, there are 30 jobs in the production facility that we could do with filling sooner rather than later. So if any of your listeners are interested or have any friends or relations who are, come and see us at Ministry and we'll get some application forms to you and you can go through the process of coming and joining us.
Excellent.
And you don't have to speak French.
Yeah. It's Turn FM, and my guest is Chris Ormrod, the Prime Minister of the Ministry of Cake.